So Leicester City confirmed relegation last night, but how much financial trouble are they actually in? And spoiler alert, it's quite a lot. So of course for Leicester now, back-to-back relegations, are going to be playing in League One next season. So I've done a bit of digging, see what I found online, see how much financial trouble they could actually be in. So I thought, to the best of my knowledge, I'm going to try and break it down in this video. I think the best place to start is with the players. Of course, the wage bill is an estimate about 40 to 50 million. Obviously, the actual wage bills aren't published anywhere. These are just estimates. Of course, they're way bigger than anyone else's wages, pretty much. I couldn't find too much about League One wage bills. I think Luton have got the most with about 17 million a year. So I mean, Leicester's is what, more than double than Luton's to start off with. Of course, you could probably trim a little bit off the top for Leicester, of course, with players leaving on a free in the summer. But of course, the real difficult task is to get them players that are on high wages and under contract off the books. Because of course, you've got players, for example, like Harry Winks is on like 90 grand a week, I think. And in what world is any club going to be mad enough and give Harry Winks anywhere near 90k again? So they're going to have a real struggle to get players off the bill. Of course, they'll sell some players like Jerry Monger, of course, young players with potential. But the players that are maybe past the peak or older ones on high wages, how are they going to get rid of them? So already the wage bills are quite fucked. Of course, the League One's got a wage cap as well. So straight off the bat, they'll probably fail them or come very close to failing them. Like I mentioned, even last year when they sold players like Conor Cody to Wrexham, of course, they're still paying some of his wages. Because they spent one season in the Premier League, 24-25, they get 2 seasons of parachute payments. So I believe they get about 55 million this year and then 40 million next year for the losses. But the problem is they've already leveraged them payments with Macquarie Bank. That might be the wrong pronunciation, but it's an Australian bank that deals with football clubs a lot. So obviously they've got that money this year to try and cover the cost, because of course it was still way higher than the 55 that they originally got. So they'll still have issue with the high wages, but of course no parachute payments to help that. And this is just a cost for the players, not even the football club itself. Because of course you've got the multi-million-pound training ground, the actual ground, the women's team, and then also stuff like the academy. Of course they're a category 1 team. Obviously these costs aren't to do with players or wages, this is all background costs. 2017-18, of course 2 years after winning the Premier League, they got 25 million profit, but just 9 years later turned that to accumulate 375 million pound loss. It just means year after year they've been spending way beyond the means, of course hoping that they get some more success. So of course the spending's gone like this, but the success has gone like that. You may remember this face, of course, Charlie Metman from the Sunderland Tie Dye series. He may not have had the best time at Sunderland, but he seems very knowledgeable about all this stuff. This is what made me do this video. I've seen this clip from a podcast that I did, I think it was about 6 months ago. It goes really into detail about liquidation and what could happen to Leicester if they don't recover these funds. I definitely recommend giving it a watch. I'll put it on my TikTok repost, so if you go on today, you'll see it. One of the main things that I picked up from the end of the video is about if they don't get promoted from League One next season. He was saying the revenue for League One, of course, without parachute payments, would be about 20 million. But of course, the outgoings, the expenditure would be about 40 million. That's before player wages as well. So already that's 200% expenditure compared to revenue. Of course, there could be wages as well. And I mean, in a year, they're going to fully trim the wages down from up here to about there. So already that's a big problem. Of course, you've got the other stuff in the background as well. And the main thing that stuck out to me is who's going to do all this. It's all well and good in theory saying you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. But they've got no figures at the club to do that. No CEO. John Rudkin's the CFO. He's useless. It's down to the owner and the chairman to get a proper football structure in place to sort his debts out. I'm not a financial expert. I don't know how they're going to properly do it. Of course, I've just seen videos and articles. But I think it's fair to say you don't need a brain to say Leicester City are well and truly fucked.